Have you noticed that most people cope through life? They aren't really living, they're just there, coping from the fact that their life is absolutely terrible. It's from this cope to that cope, and that cope to the next cope, and the next cope to another cope. There's always the next thing. I feel like that's 98% of people. 98. I want to talk about it because that represents you. We've all gone through moments where we feel like everything is hopeless. There is no way things will look up from where it is right now. At least it doesn't seem so. I apologize for my formal attire, by the way. I just got out of a meeting. I didn't want to change. So here we are. But it can't be that we live our lives simply to cope through the very lives that we're trying to live. That's not living. That's surviving. That's coping. That's existing. Right? And the funny thing about coping is that it's counterproductive. It's counterproductive because you're trying to appease yourself. You're trying to please yourself because you think that what you're going through right now is so unbearable that you could not possibly just face it head on. But then what makes it ironic and counterproductive is that same coping ends up making your life worse. You can't cope forever. It's called a cope. You know what I'm saying? And this recurring coping that we participate in, it damages us, right? It damages us. And I know you feel sick of yourself every time you do that one thing you said you'd never do again, right? Every time you go drink with your friends on the weekend when you said you'd never drink again. It's a cope. And you don't know what to do because every time you feel bad, you live just enough for it to get bad, and then you do it again so you can stop thinking about it. It's a cycle of coping. And I think pretty much everyone experiences this, especially people younger than 32, right? We're serial copers. It's what we've been trained to do. We don't feel good, here's a popsicle. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with giving your kids popsicles, don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is this lifestyle is negative. And the coping culture, I don't think is going to die anytime soon because we have so many toys, we have so many gadgets, we have so many means of appeasing ourselves. But they're all artificial. They're all artificial. Every time you feel lonely and you hit up that one friend group that you think, oh, they got to be hanging out. I guess I got to go hang out with them. And then you go hang out with them and you feel like absolute trash after hanging out with them. You coped. That was a cope. It's one thing to feel lonely. It's another thing to go force yourself to hang out with people that you know you will feel terrible after you hang out with them for the sake of coping with this loneliness you feel. Right? We've all been there. You know exactly what I'm talking about. These people you call your friends probably aren't your friends. Right? These devices, these vices that you have aren't benefiting you in any way. Whether that be drinking, a bunch of sex, whether that be, I don't know, watching TV for hours, right? None of these things help you, and you know that to be true. You're coping through your life. You are coping through your life. And I really feel for us. And I say us because we all exist in this universe. And I think I'm getting way better than I was in the past. But I'm still a human being, just like the next person. And I feel bad for us because we aren't living when we live like that. Right? When we say, oh, I just got to get through the next day. How am I going to do that? Let me take a sip of whiskey. Right? That's not helping you. Coping is counterproductive. And you cannot cope through your life. You are supposed to live your life. You have your life to live. So find ways to live it. Find something to cling to. Find something that interests you. Find something that you could never let go of because it's so gripping. It's bordering on impossible / exceptional euphoria. Find that thing for you, whatever it is. My thing is relating to people, talking to people, addressing social issues, diving into things that affect me that I think are affecting others that can be rectified. That's what it is for me. Every day I wake up, I know that there's greater. I know that there's something I should be pursuing. I know that there is excellence within me that I must work to realize. That's what my thing is. That's what prevents me from coping, because there's always something else to do. There's always something I can work towards. There's always something worth more. There's always something I can do better. There's always something that will be worth my time. There's always something valuable that will be worth my time. And that's what prevents me from coping when I don't. You get what I'm saying? And you have to be willing to build this thing. You have to be willing to build your resilience. You have to be willing to build your strength against difficulty, your strength against anxiety. Because until then, you won't be able to withstand these temptations. You won't be able to withstand your vices. But it is certainly possible. And I think the more people face life head on and stop trying to find the next cope, the more fulfilling the world will be, the more fulfilling our lives will be. You get what I'm saying? The more fulfilling things will be. How often do we walk into a circle, a social situation, where like 90% of people are on their phones, coping with the anxiety instead of talking to the people who are literally right there next to them? It's almost as if we can't comprehend the fact that our lives are finite. We're not infinite creatures. We live for a short amount of time, and then we'll die. We aren't infinite. You know what I'm saying? We cannot cope through life. We steal and rob ourselves of opportunities and experiences that could have otherwise given us a great time. Whatever that looks like for you, go find it. Whatever that means for you, go make the most of it. Coping is just that. It's coping. It's not your life. The constant buzz of getting drunk and hungover is not your life. The constant buzz of sleeping with someone new is not your life. It's a cope. And you can't cope through life forever. Someday, it'll get old. I promise you. Someday. But what will never get old is what matters most. What will never get old is that which persuades you to wake up each and every day with a vibrant smile on your face, with a deep motivation inside your soul that compels you to do difficult things despite their difficulty for the sake of something greater. That will never get old. And something like that is what will prevent you from continuously coping through your life. Your life is worth living. You don't need to avoid it. Face your life. It's yours. Huh? And you only have it for a short amount of time. Make the most of it. Seek on. Seek on. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.